Hello learners, welcome back to the Discrete Structures lecture series. I, Kirti Sharma, working as an assistant professor in St. Andrews Institute of Technology and Management, Gurugram. As per our previous discussion regarding the algebraic structure with two binary operations that we have already discussed, right? In the previous lecture, we have covered rings, integral domain, right? So different like commutative ring, different types of the rings we have covered. Ring with zero, without zero, and with zero concept we have already studied. Then integral domain. In this particular lecture we will discuss the topic field, right? So before understanding this particular topic, we have to just go through the integral domain question here. Practice problem is there, then after we will discuss the field topic. Okay, after the field we have one more topic here. It's very important from exam point of view. It's a Boolean algebra. So under this topic we will discuss the duality concept, Boolean functions, and two types of the normal forms in under the Boolean functionality, like conjunction and disjunction normal form. Okay, so first we will discuss the example or problem for the integral domain, then after we will discuss the remaining concepts one by one in this lecture. Okay, so the example for the integral domain is, here we have a question regarding the integral domain. Here R is a set which consists of 5 elements 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. It's a commutative ring for addition modulo 5. You know about the addition modulo? This one is the addition modulo 5, and multiplication modulo 5. This one. You have to tell like, is it a integral domain or not, right? So commutative ring, it's already mentioned here, right? So you have to prove it. Is it a commutative ring or not? First thing that you have to prove, it's a commutative ring or not. Then after you have to prove, is it an integral domain or not? Okay, so we will solve this question. Here R is a set as mentioned in the question. R is a set which consists of elements 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, right? So operators are under the, we are studying the topic integral domain rings, and what comes, it comes under the category of algebraic structure with two binary operation. Here two binary operations are addition modulo 5 and multiplication modulo 5, right? So it is combinedly worked as a ring here, right? So this is a set R that is given here, right? I'm mentioning it as G, and this is the R set here. Okay, so first thing you have to draw the composition table or Kelly table. After that you can easily find the all the things, all the properties are clear. This is the table, so I'm just taking it here. There are values 0, 1, 2, 3 and 4. Horizontally, vertically, you have to write this thing. Under which operator? I'm taking here first addition modulo 5. So we have already discussed the criteria with how to calculate the values after applying the operation. If you have not studied yet the previous lectures, then go through with the previous lectures first, then after come back to this lecture to get more better understanding. Okay, much better understanding. So if I'm taking here two elements 0 and 0, so what about the addition modulo 5? You have to add those two elements first, and after that you have to divide it by 5. So you are getting here answer. I'm just changing the color to represent this. It's 0, right? So then after 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, you can just do the cross check, and one by one you can solve it out. I'm just directly mentioning here the composition table, you can say it. Here you have the two operations, so you have to draw the two composition table. It is with respect to the addition modulo 5, and another will be with respect to the multiplication modulo 5. Okay, so now I will draw it over here. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 with respect to the multiplication modulo 5. So in the same manner you have to write here the values whatever you got here. Like first you have to multiply 0 by 0, then after you have to divide whatever you got as the resultant, you have to write here, right? So after divided by 5 you get the 0 here, right? So if you will multiply with 0, everything will be 0. In the same manner, if you will multiply here by 0, everything will be 0, except this whatever you got here, like if you are multiplying 1 into 1, it will be 1. 1 divided by 5 will 1 divided by 5 will be 1 itself. Okay, so in the same manner I'm writing for the all. You have to do it yourself with respect to the multiplication modulo 5. Okay, so first we have we have to just cross check it satisfying the commutative ring properties or not. For the commutativity, first we have to check with respect, if we are checking with respect to the addition modulo 5, right? So in which 0 is the 0 element is we can take, because 0 is the identity element in case of addition, right? So with respect to that, like if I'm taking 1 2 3 4, right, 0 we are excluding. 0 is 0 simply. If you have to find the alternate option, right, 1 2 3 4, and you want to get the identity element, so what do you have inverse? Like with respect to 1 2 3 4, you have inverse, right? Either you can negative of 1 2 3 4 will be 4 3 2 1 itself, right? So in which 0 is the 0 element, first thing you have to take this 0 is the element, and the negative of 1 2 3 4 are 4 3 2 1, because opposite of these are 4 3 2 1 na? You can oppose alternatively you can use them, right? So first thing you have to prove them commutative. Either you can use them like 1432 or 4321. It will never affect your resultant values. In case of addition, it's commutative. It's always satisfies the commutative property in case of addition, right? So that is the only meaning to say, like in addition modulo 5 case, it's satisfying the commutative ring property. Then second thing you have to just cross check for the ring property itself, like it should be the commutative semi-commutative group. So abelian group you can say as like that, like so semi group. For the semi group, what you have to keep satisfy here? Associativity. Of course, addition always satisfy the associativity. That means semi group is already satisfied. Commutative is already we have seen, right? So that means an identity element already exists. 0 identity element is there, and closure property, each and every element available in as a resultant set is a part of set itself. That means closure also satisfied. And last one, inverse is also satisfying here, because if you will like I've already told you, if you are taking 1 with respect to 1, in order to get the identity element you have to write the -1 over here, right? So you have to just cross check it like commutative or not. So then after what we have here, distribution law, because if it will not satisfy the distributive property, then it will not be a ring itself. So to be a ring, it's important to satisfy the distributive law. Since distributive law is true for the original multiplication over addition operation, as we have already seen, like in the definition of the ring in the previous lecture, multiplication over addition. You have to do the cross check for the distributive property, multiplication over addition. Okay, so addition in this particular example, it's also satisfying. You can do the cross check here, like if you're taking 2 as the element and 1 as the element of B, then one more element C, you can say like A is 2. I'm writing here multiplication 3 plus 1. What it's mean? Like regarding the distributive property, if you are doing 3 plus 1, 4 into 2, 8 will be there, right? And if I'm doing here 2 into 3 plus 2 into 1, what it will be? 6 plus 2, 8 itself. So that's why it's satisfying the distributive property also, multiplication over addition. Okay, so in this manner we have already satisfied all the conditions for the commutative ring. So that means our R is a ring with respect to the addition modulo and this, it's satisfying the commutative ring property. So it's a commutative. Next we have to check for the integral. For integral, up to now we have cross checked for the commutative. Integral, for the integral it will remain same. We will not repeat the same thing, right? It should be the commutative ring. It is actually. The next thing what we have to check, unity and without zero, ring without zero element, right? So what you have to cross check, like what about the unity? In case of multiplication modulo, in this particular table, if I'm checking it out, like in multiplication modulo, like what we have the identity element, of course one we have as an identity element, right? So one is there in the multiplication modulo, element is present, yes, it's present, so that means unit is present. In case of without zero, like ring without zero, but we have to check it out. We have already studied the definition for each and every non-zero. This is a zero case now. So for the non-zero, we have to check if you are applying operation on any non-zero elements, and you are you getting any zero element here? Answer is no. If you will apply the operation on non-zero element here, in that particular example, you are getting the non-zero answers, resultant values itself, right? That means it's a ring without zero element. So all the conditions are satisfied. It is also a commutative ring. Next we have definition of the field. Field is basically a commutative. To define a ring can be defined as a field when it is satisfying the commutative property with unity. And one more thing that is important here, and it is the distinguishing field with the integral domain itself. It's every non-zero element is invertible, right? That means has multiplicative inverse. Each and every non-zero element must have their multiplicative inverse here. It's all about the field here, right? So I hope it is clear for all. So next, I think multiplicative inverse we have already studied in the previous lectures, so you can track it from there, right? So next we have the new concepts. Up to now we have already covered the algebraic structures with two binary operations also. Next we have the concept of Boolean algebra. Okay, so what about the Boolean algebra? Basically, Boolean algebra is a extended form, like we can use it for the algebraic structure itself, right? So here also we have to take the B as a known empty set. You can take any alphabet here, not necessary B. We are studying the Boolean algebra, that's why for the easy for make it easy to make it easy, I'm taking here B as a variable here, right? It should be known empty set with two binary operations. One should be the addition operation and next one is the multiplication operation, and one will be the unary operation here, that is the chord symbol. This is known as the complement also. You have already studied it somewhere in the digital electronics part also, or basics of electronics. You have studied about the logic gates wherever, then you have already studied about this complement operation also, right? So in the Boolean algebra we will study it can be represented like B. B is a known empty set. Then we have two binary operation, addition and multiplication. Then you have single unary operator is there, that is complement, which consists of two different distinct elements, that will be 0 and 1. Okay, so it's all about the Boolean algebra. So we have some axioms or properties, postulates in order to satisfy the condition of the Boolean algebra. Okay, so next some exams that we have to study, like you have already studied about them, so I'm just taking the recap here. Like commutative law, I hope everybody knows about the commutative law, right? So I have already mentioned here, in case of now here we are restricted with the two operations only, no need to take other operations. We will take addition and multiplication only, we will not take any other operations here. So that means Boolean algebra distinguished itself with the algebraic structures by using the two operations, and one more operation as a unary operation is available here, right? So if it satisfies the four laws that I have mentioned here, then you can say any structure is known as a Boolean algebra, right? So first one is the commutative law with respect to the addition and with respect to the multiplication here. Next we have here identity law. So I hope this is also easy to understand because we have already studied a lot about it. Like if you will add, in case of addition, 0 is the identity element in order to get the same element itself back, right? Either you are adding it in the left hand side or right hand side, it doesn't matter actually, right? So in case of multiplication, what you have the identity element, of course 1, in order to get the same element. Either you are taking this identity element on the right side or left side, it doesn't matter, right? Because both of them are satisfying the condition of the commutativity, right? So we have already discussed about it. So third property that we have to discuss here is distributive law. So it's also very easy to understand, like distributive law. Here distributive, you can distribute the multiplication over addition, as well as one more different thing here, uh, comparatively with the previous topic. Here you can distribute either multiplication over addition, or addition over the multiplication. It's up to you, right? So both of the things are available here regarding the distributive law. Okay, so next we have the complement law. So what about the complement law? Because we are here taking the unary operator as the complement, so it is important to know about the complement law also in order to apply in further concepts of the Boolean algebra. Unary operation means there will be one variable only in order to apply the operator, and you will get the resultant value. No need of the second operand itself or second variable itself to apply the operator. That's why it's known as unary operator, right? Right. So such that you can apply it on the addition or as well as on the multiplication. If we will add an element with its complement of that same element, then you will get the 1 as a resultant value. I hope this concept you have already studied, but if you have not studied yet, then it's very easy to understand. It's simple. Like if you're taking any element, as I'm taking value of a equals to 1, what it's mean, like complement of 1 will be 0 itself, right? And if you're taking a value is 0, complement of a will be 1 itself, right? So if you're taking a value is 1, then what will be the complement? It will be 0 and answer will be 1. I hope it's clear now. If you're taking a value in case of multiplication 1, then a inverse will be not inverse, a complement will be 0, then what will be the resultant answer? 0 itself. I hope it is clear with the example, right? So it was all about the complement law. So there are the 4 laws that we have studied. First one, commutative. Second one is distributive law, identity law, and last is complement law. If any structure satisfying all those 4 laws with the 2 binary operations, then 1 complement operation, and 0, 1 are the 2 elements we are taking here on set B. So in that manner you can say as such type of structure is known as a Boolean algebra. Okay, so next we have some example in order to get the much better understanding about the Boolean algebra. Here we are taking an example, like B is a set that consists of 2 elements, 0 and 1 only. Plus multiplication and complement is available here. Now we have drawn here like a composite table with respect to plus, addition, multiplication as well as complement. I hope all of you are aware about it. If you will add 2 elements, it will be 0, 0 plus 1, 1, 1 plus 0, 1, 1 plus 1, 1. It's a binary, like Boolean binary addition here, right? So multiplication 0 plus 0, 0 plus 1, multiply by 1, 0, 1 multiply 0, 0, 1 multiply by 1, it will be 1. Complement of 0 will be 1, 1 complement will be 0 itself, right? It's an inverse of each other. Like if you're taking 0, then complement of 0 will become opposite, like 1 will be, right? So for the same question you have to satisfy all those 4 properties. This one is commutative property. I hope you know about it. The next one is identity property. Then after identity property we have distributive property. You just take the recap about it. Like it's very easy to take these properties with the elements, two elements 0 and 1 are there. So I'm taking here elements values like a0 1 1. So we are applying here the distributive law, addition over the multiplication, same multiplication over the addition. Okay, so here first we have checked for the left hand side, and then you have to put the values and you have to find the same thing, like if left and right both are equal, then it is satisfying the condition itself, right? So here this is the complement law. If all those four satisfied, then you can say this particular Boolean algebra, this is a Boolean algebra, right? So next we have the most important concept of the Boolean algebra. It's a principle of duality, right? So it may be possible, it's new for you, so it's important to understand this concept of the duality here, right? So what about the Boolean algebra? This is the representation of Boolean algebra. In a Boolean algebra, if you in any statement will be true. When it will be true? If you interchange the operation. What it means? There are two operations only, right? Plus and multiplication. If you will interchange the plus with the multiplication, if plus is given in the question, you will interchange it with the multiplication. If multiplication is given in the question, then you will change it with the addition operation, right? So this interchanging of the operation is itself called as a duality, like it's a feature of the Boolean algebra. Same thing for the 0 1 elements here. If it is 0 is given in the question, you will change it with the 1. If 1 is mentioned here, then you will change it into the, you have to change it into the 0 itself, right? So it's a kind of interchangeable of the operations and elements. It's known as a duality principle for algebra, like Boolean algebra, right? I hope it is clear. So I'm taking here an example to give more understanding. Like there is a theorem also in order to satisfy these things, like on the Boolean algebra, idempotent laws like boundedness and absorption and association. I hope idempotent law is nothing like if you're taking one element A and you're adding an element value in itself, then as a resultant you will get the same element only. Then it is known as idempotent law. Same thing if you are applying the multiplication operator for the same, then you will get the same as the resultant value. It's all about idempotent law, right? So for example, you are taking 0 plus 0, it will be 0 itself, right? If you will multiply by 1, you will get the 1 answer. If you will multiply 0 with the 0, you will get the 0 answer. Same thing if you are doing the binary addition, then 1 plus 1 will be 1 itself, right? So it was all about the idempotent law. Next we have the boundedness. So boundedness is all nothing like it's if you are bounding the variable value, right? So if you're taking any element, whatever is the element, you are bounding it, restricting it with the 1. Whatever you're taking here, like if you're taking here 1, then you are restricting here with the 1. Resultant will be 1 only in case of addition. In case of multiplication, if you will multiply any element with 0, answer will be 0 itself. So it's a boundedness law, right? You're taking the element in case of addition, nothing will be go more than 1, whatever is the value of the A. In case of 0 and multiplication, whatever is the value of A, it doesn't matter. If you will multiply this value with the 0, answer will be 0 itself. So that kind of properties are known as boundedness law property. Okay, so next we have the absorption law. Absorption, as its name indicating, it will absorb all the properties here, right? What it means, whatever you will add in A, it will absorb all these things, whatever. That means if you are multiplying using the multiplication symbol after the A, whatever you are doing over here, it will absorb it in itself completely and it will show the answer as the element itself. Okay, so it's very important property. Actually you can use it practically also. It's very easy to use. Associativity law we have already studied lots of times, so you can do it yourself. So next we have example also. So first we will do the proof of all those properties that we have studied, like before this. Four properties were like first one was our idempotent. Next we have studied about idempotent. First we will discuss the idempotent, then one after another we will study the leftover also, like we have studied the associative right now, then after boundedness properties we have studied, right? So we will discuss one by one. So by following the Boolean algebra 4 properties, we are going to prove these 4 properties of the duality, like idempotent, distributive, idempotent, and next we have associative, boundedness, those properties. Okay, so first we have under the idempotent property, first we have this property. So in order to prove this one, what we have here, if we are taking the a as a resultant value, like we are taking it, we have a as an answer, right? An element. If you are adding in an element 0, what does it mean? This is satisfying the b2. I'm writing here, like I have mentioned already here, b1, b2, b3, b4. b2 is the identity law, right? And b2 is the identity law. In order to satisfy this one, I'm taking the identity law. If you will add any identity element in the element 0, for addition, what we have 0 as the identity element, so I'm adding 0 into a. It will not affect the value of a itself, so we can take it. It's not a problem. So for the 0, you can write with the help of the complement law. If you will multiply any element with its complement, you will get the 0 as a resultant. So I'm replacing this 0 with this value by following the fourth property. Then after, I'm just taking the distributive law of addition over the multiplication distributive. A plus a will be there, multiply a plus a complement will be there, right? So a plus a complement, we have already studied in the fourth condition, complement law, that if you are doing addition of the element and with its complement of that element, then answer will be 1 itself. So after multiplication, you will get the a plus a itself. So this is the method. It's very easy to understand if you're getting here the laws property. Now here we are just proving all those 4 properties that we have considered under the duality process that holds good for the Boolean algebra. By taking the above 4 properties as a base or basics, what was those 4 properties under which we are proving them? Those were the first one was our like identity property, identity property, distributive property, complement property. These were our properties. On the basis of them, which we are just proving these axioms that holds good in the Boolean algebra. Okay, so same manner we have proved for the multiplication also by taking these properties. So just do it yourself. It's very easy to implement. Next property we have a plus 1 equals to 1. That is boundedness property. Same thing we have taken here. We have taken the right hand side as 1. Then we are changing this thing, like 1 is the element and plus its complement will be 1 itself. Then after we are changing these values, like addition, if you are multiplying by 1, it will not affect at all. Then apply the distributive property. Then after again complement property. Then if you are multiplying it by 1, by the way, you will get the same thing itself, right? So if you're taking 1 as the base that you know about it, then after you are proving here a plus 1, hence proved. Okay, so in the same manner for multiplication, it will remain same. The concept is same for the multiplication plus addition. Second thing you have to prove here, that is absorption law. That what it is, if you are adding or multiplying anything with the element, you will get the element itself. It will absorb all things. It's a very good property, right? So you are taking here the right hand side, then after multiplying it by 1, it will not affect at all. Then after, what we have here, a plus 1, if you will add like bound for the boundedness, if 1 plus b I'm adding here, right? So what it's mean, I'm taking any element b here, right, and I'm adding it into the 1. So what it's mean, you are applying the distributive property here. Here we have applied the boundedness property that we have proved in the before example, right? So whatever we have proved, like it will absorb in case of addition 1 equals to a plus 1. So 1 was there now. In the next example, what we have here, 1. So we have added 1 plus b. Whatever will be, it will absorb in 1 itself. So we just apply the boundedness law here, right? So distributive law, and after distributive it is proved, right? So in the same manner, you have the second boundedness property for the multiplication also. You can do it yourself by yourself. Next thing, this is a question that you have to prove, like associativity law. We have already proved it lots of time, so you can prove it by taking the example, like taking the right hand side, and conversely you can take the left hand side and prove the right hand side itself, right? So try it yourself. Next, it's very good interesting proper law also, De Morgan's law. You have studied it also lots of time, right? It's a repetition only. A plus b whole complement, it will be operation plus will convert into the multiplication, and this will apply, there will be the complement of each and every element. Same thing for with the multiplication will convert into the plus and complement of each element. So it was all about the De Morgan's law. You can prove the De Morgan's law also by taking the right hand side, like if you're taking a and a equals to a complement, then we already knows the complement law property. These are the complement law property. If you're taking the left hand side and right hand side, then you can prove it yourself. Like if you're taking a complement, it will be 1. I'm taking here this complete a plus b as a, so a plus a complement. I'm just taking this particular thing, a plus b, it's like a, and this one is a complement. It will become equals to 1 here, right? So same thing for the multiplication, a plus a into a complement, it will be 0, right? So by adding the both of the things, whatever we are getting, like we are exploring it itself, right? So a plus b, if I'm taking here plus a complement multiply b complement, here I'm taking here, okay? So I'm just merging it in order to get the resultant value, okay? So I'm just applying here the distributive law. After applying the distributive law and identity law, and last we have the absorption law, boundedness law. 1 plus b, it will absorb in 1 itself, so 1 will be the answer. Same, if you are writing 1 plus a or a plus 1, it's same, it will be 1 itself, so answer is 1. So from here you can conclude this thing, and after that you have to prove what, like left hand side you can take and you can put the laws, distributive law and identity law. At last 0 into 0, this is the absorption law, right? So left, by taking the left hand side you can prove the right hand side, and vice versa. So this was all about the De Morgan's law. In case of multiplication of the De Morgan's law, this is also easy. In the same manner, by applying these 4 properties, you can also solve it yourself. You can try. Okay, so it's a practice question. These are the practice questions that you can try yourself. Okay, so try once. Then we have the important topic. Last one is our Boolean function. So from this algebraic structure in Boolean algebra, this is the last one topic to understand. So it's important also to for your exams also, so focus on this particular topic also. So b is a set here, plus and multiplication to a binary operator, and complement is a unary operator here, right? So if you're applying this, it's a function, a Boolean function is just a combination of the elements of the set b, right, with its operation plus multiplication and complement. There are 3 functions or more, whatever, you can take some functions. These are the examples only. If you are adding x and y, here x and y are the elements of the b set only, right? If either you can apply the addition, multiplication or combination of these operations in order to apply the functionality of the Boolean function, right? So there are some note to you can note it down, like Boolean algebra cannot have like power of an element, right? So power means like x square, x dot x, it will revert you the x. So at least there should not be the power of the element, right? So what it's mean, Boolean algebra should not have the multiplication by a constant to an element. Any constant you cannot multiply with the element of the set, right? These are some special properties of the Boolean function. So here is a Boolean function types. There are 2 most important types of the Boolean function, so mark it very well, like conjunction normal form, that is also known as product of the sum form or POS, right? Disjunction normal form, that is also known as SOP and sum of product, right? So conjunction means here, right, we are doing the product of sum, and disjunction means we are doing the sum of the product, right? So basically in general form, if nothing is mentioned in the Boolean function, by default you have to take the disjunction, right? So we are taking the example here to understand this thing, right? So definition of disjunction is there are n variables are there like x1, x2, x3. So in order to find sum of mean terms, here there is a concept of mean terms, right? What do you mean by mean terms here? What do you mean by mean terms here? So here, if I'm taking in the fi function, if I'm taking xi raised like complement of that element, these are called the mean terms. Like I can be the any number, like any element could be possible here, right? So this is a question. Through this example we will understand like concept of disjunction normal form, right? Or you can say SOP. SOP is the sum of the product, right? So what it's mentioned here, like this is the sum of what? Product x1 x2 product, x1 x2 dash product, x1 dash x2, x1 dash x2 dash product. So we are doing the addition of products, right? Sum of products. I hope it is clear. This is sum of the product. So you have to write it into the disjunction normal form, right? So what is the disjunction normal form? Then you can say see later in the example for the further. Before this I'm adding here the complete disjunction normal form also, right? What do you mean by what is the difference between disjunction normal form and complete disjunction normal form? Only single difference. If you have the two variables in the function, right, there are the x and y two variables, right? So how many variables should be there in the disjunction normal form? 2 raised to power n. Four terms or mean terms. These are the mean terms. Like if I am writing x into y, x dash y, these are the mean terms. Okay. So total 4 mean terms should be available there in the 4 variables available there in the disjunction normal form, right? If there are 2 variables present in the functions, right? So 2 raised to power n variables should be there in the disjunction normal form. If it is available, like 4 elements are available with the respect to the 2 variables of the function, then it is known as the complete disjunction normal form, right? It may possible less than 4, but then it is known as disjunction normal form only. If all 4 are present, then it is complete disjunction normal form. I hope it is clear. Next is the example to understand the disjunction normal form. This is a function which is written here, right? You have to just prove it by using the De Morgan's law, complement law, right? So in order to prove this one, we have taken the example x y dash complement. If you solve the De Morgan's law, then after complement law applied, then again distributive law. After distributive law, what we have here, you have to put the values like to make it in the disjunction normal form. Here this is the shortest way to get it answer, like x dash plus yz. After that what you have to do, like complete 3 variables are there, x, y and z. So wherever x, y, z are not visible, like missing, then you have to put on the place of which 1 itself. Why 1? Because in the disjunction normal form we are taking the sum of products. So we will take the one identity as a symbol for the disjunction. Okay, disjunction. Basically, you have already studied in the set theory and all in the starting of the discrete structures, like disjunction and conjunction, like and or operators itself renamed with the disjunction and conjunction. So here we are using the terms disjunction and conjunction already, right? So I'm taking here like disjunction is and conjunction is or. So 1, if I'm multiplying here 1, 1, like what it's mean, x dash is given, yz is not given here, right? So I'm multiplying 1 for y, 1 for z. The next yz is given, x is not given. I'm multiplying here 1. At the place of 1, I'm replacing it with the y plus yz. We have already studied it into the complement law, right? At the place of 1, there's one z plus z dash. Its value is 1, its value is 1. Same for the x we have done, right? Now we are just simplifying these things, and after that we will get all the values with respect to the x, y, z. Now this is in the disjunction normal form. And what will be the complete disjunction normal form? There are the 3 variables in the function x, y, z. 2 raised to power 3. 8 will be the complete. If there are the all 8 combination, it will known as a complete disjunction normal form. Same thing, f complement will be, complement of f will be complete disjunction normal form minus f, whatever you have computed earlier. Then after that 6 elements variables were there, right? And total 2 raised to power 3. Complete disjunction normal form, there will be 8 variables. 8 minus sorry, 5 in the f available there in the above, right? Five variables are there, so 8 minus 5 3. So f complement consists of these three elements which are not present in the f but in the complete normal form, complete disjunction normal form. In the same manner we have the conjunction normal form. In the conjunction normal form we have the max terms here, right? Here it is a product of sum. So we will do the sum of the products, right? So this is the sum of xy and we are doing the product here. In the previous one we were doing the sum of the products. Here we are doing the product of sum inversely, right? So how many max terms will be can possible in the complete Cn? 2 raised to power n, as with the previous one. In the complete disjunction normal form there should be the 2 raised to power n main terms, right? And in the complete conjunction normal form there must be the 2 raised to power n max terms, right? So this is the question that you can solve it out. Here one difference is there with respect to the conjunction and with respect to the conjunction normal form. When we compare it with the disjunction normal form, in disjunction normal form we have taken the 1 as the missing value, missing place value. Here we will consider the 0 as the missing place value. So it's very simple to understand, you can get it over here. This is the question, practice question, that you can try it yourself. So it was all about the today's lecture. So with this we are ending our algebraic structures series. Then after we will continue in the discrete mathematics series with the graph theory itself, right? So thank you, have a nice day.